The Essential platform allows you to be able to create online giving links, manage your donors, and track their donations. The first step to receive online donations is to create your fund. The fund is simply something for donors to give to. From the Welcome to CDM Plus window, under Setup, we're going to click on the Funds button. Here you see a list of all of your current funds. To create a new fund, simply click on Add at the bottom of this window and you see a new row appear. Then you can enter in the name of your fund. If your fund is not tax deductible, you can simply put a check in this box. Then make sure to save the fund at the bottom of this window. If a donor has not made any donations to a fund, then you can delete it by clicking on this red X. Please note that you can't delete a fund that a donor has already given to because of audit purposes. However, you can choose to inactivate a fund if you're no longer using it. When you inactivate a fund, it does not stop any recurring donations. It simply prevents new donations from being made to that specific fund. Another tip is at the bottom of this window, if you click on this drop-down box, you can choose if you just want to see active funds, inactive funds, or all your funds. We're going to choose just to see our active funds, and you can see this list filter out. Now, the order that your funds appear on this page is the order that they will appear on your giving links when you add them to a different giving link. So if you really wanted to highlight a specific fund, you could simply put your cursor in this row and use these jump buttons at the bottom of the window to either bring this fund to the top of the list or to the bottom, or use these arrow keys to move this fund up and down the list as you need to. For an easy way to sort and organize your funds, you can simply click on the description header and your funds are going to automatically be listed in alphabetical order. To save any of those changes, you would simply click on Save. Once the Save button has grayed out, then you know your changes have been saved, and you can simply close this window. Once you have created a fund, the next thing you will need to do is create a giving set for this fund to be on. In Essentials, to manage your giving sets, we're going to go under Engage Settings under Setup. To create a giving set or see your existing giving sets, simply click on Giving Sets on the left-hand side of this page. To create a new giving set, you simply click on New Giving Set. Here you can give the giving set a name, and this name will be visible to your donors. You can also choose to customize the URL for your giving set under URL. And here you will also see where you can copy this URL to put behind a donation button on your website, copy an embed script so you can embed the form from within your website, or even download a QR code that you can use for all your print material. You can also choose whether or not you want to print this giving set to the new gift page, or if you're using it for a specific purpose and you don't need it to be published to that new gift page. You can choose if you want to enable recurring donations or just make this link just specific to one-time donations. You can choose if you want to allow all payment methods or only credit or debit cards or bank account only donations. Underneath the funds section, this is where we can add the funds to this specific giving set. If we want to add all of the funds, we simply click on this Add All Funds button. And then we could just choose, yes, I want to add all funds. And we'll see the list of our active funds appear on this page, the same as they would in the order that we saw on our fund list. And then we can also choose to remove all funds. If we only want to add specific funds, we simply click on this drop-down box and choose the funds that we want to add. We can also add a banner image that will appear at the top of our form, add customized header and footer text, add a background color, or even a background image as well. Then we would simply save this giving set at the bottom of this page. Then we'll click on Back to Giving Sets to see a list of all of our existing giving sets. Now you can very clearly see which giving sets are going to be published to your new giving set by this Publish button here on the right-hand side. And you can also drag these different giving sets in the order that you would want them to appear on that new gift page. To see that new gift page, we're going to go ahead and click on Giving. Now, underneath the Giving menu, there's a couple different options that you can set up for your givers. Here you can see a link to that new gift page. This serves as a landing page for all the different giving sets that you have created. You can copy this link, embed this link within your website, and download a QR code as well. Also on the giving page, you can customize the memo section, which is customizing the text that appears at the top of your emails that donors receive when they make a donation. So you can customize that text here. A couple other handy tricks is under staff notifications, you can add or remove emails for anybody on your team that you want to be notified when a donor makes a change or makes a donation. You can also choose to enable Fee Assist, which allows donors to cover the administrative fee of their transaction, and choose how you want to handle guest gifts. Traditionally, we encourage you to handle guest gifts by using our manual Process Pinning Donations queue. This allows you to link a one-time guest donation to an existing donor record. But you could also choose just to have a new donor record be created each time a donor chooses to give as a guest. You can choose which option best fits your needs, and then for any of the changes on this page, simply click on Save Changes. Now we're going to scroll up to the top here and we're going to talk a little bit about some other Engage settings that you can customize. And so to do this, we're going to click on Organization. On the Organization page, this is where you can add a logo, and this is what donors will see in the upper left-hand corner when they log into their account. Another cool tip is you can adjust how donors see those notification emails come across in their inbox to you by customizing the email sender name. If you want donors to be able to respond to those automated emails, you can also put in a valid email address here into the reply email address field. Then of course save all your changes at the bottom of this page. Now once donors have a way to donate to your organization through Engage settings, you now need to know how to organize and manage your donors and their donations. In Essentials, to manage your donors, you will want to primarily work from the donor records. But it's also really important to understand how your donors are organized in the CDM Plus data management system. Your donors are organized in address records, individual records, and donor records. The address records is where you can group all the individuals that live underneath the same address underneath one record. This is great for managing husbands and wives or spouse information, or for children that may live at the same address. And this way, if you're going to send out a mailing, you can send a mailing out to people who are at the same address record instead of each individual getting all those different pieces of mail. The individual record is where you can track a donor's online credentials. So if they asked you what their username was, for example, you can look this up for them underneath their individual record. And the donor records is where you can help manage a donor and their donations, edit their recurring donations, see transaction history, and edit their payment method as well. So let's take a look at our donor records. For any of the record windows, a really easy and nice trick is to configure what you can see at a glance when you go into that donor record. And to configure those options, on the bottom left-hand side, simply click on Configure. Some really helpful things to see might be the donor code, the donor's last name, and the donor's salutation name. But some other tips might be to view the last donation date of the donor and their year-to-date total. And you can go through all these different fields to see which fields would be helpful to see at a glance when you go into the donor record window. And then of course, save any changes on the left-hand side of this page. Now we can easily see at a glance information about the donor, including that last donation date and their year-to-date total. To see a list of all of your donors, you would simply click on All. And you can see a list of all of the donors appear in this window. To find a specific donor, you can click on the Find option. One helpful way to search is to search by that donor's last name. And you can decide if you want to match the result exactly to that last name or use some other options like begins with or contains. Then you can enter in the donor's information and simply click on Search. From here, you can see a list of all of your donors and that meet that search criteria. On the left-hand side, you can easily see the address record jump button and individual jump button that is related to this specific donor. You can also click on the donations jump button to see a history of all the donation records underneath that specific donor's name. If you click on one specific donation record, here you can see the details about that donation itself. To be able to make changes to a donor, as far as editing their recurring donation or their payment account, you're going to simply click on this Engage tab. Engage is how your donors are engaging with your organization. So whenever you think about updating a recurring donation or payment method, it's all done through Engage. You can also adjust this window if need be to see this window more easily. On the right-hand side, simply click on this menu button, and you're able to schedule a new gift on the donor's behalf. If you click on Scheduled Gifts here, you can see any existing scheduled gifts, and this is where you can edit that recurring donation or cancel if need be, and of course see some more details about that recurring donation for that donor. If you need to edit their payment method, you would simply click on Payment Methods on this right-hand side and edit or delete that payment method, as well as be able to create a new payment method as well. Just a couple pieces to note when you're adding a payment method, especially a credit card payment method for a donor, is you do need all of the information regarding that credit card. So make sure to grab their full credit card number, expiration date, and CVV code when adding a new credit card for that donor. A couple other features on the Engage settings is you can see a list of their giving history that would show a donor both their online and manual donations. And you can also just see their specific recent online gifts as well. So that's just a couple of ways of how you can kind of manage your donors and their donation. The first best practice before pulling reports is to do what we call process pinning donations. Now, the donations that appear in this queue are one-time donations where someone has chosen to give as a guest. The process pinning donations queue allows you to tie that donation to an existing donor record in the system. This prevents duplicate donor records from being created in CDM+. It also allows you to see new donors when they give a one-time donation as well. Please note that the actual transaction of the donor has occurred. You're just simply processing the record of the donation. So here, let's click on Process Pinning Donations. Now, when we open up this queue, we can see that Jack Smith here has a yellow dot next to his name. This means that the system has made an educated guess and they believe they know who this Jack Smith is. So if we click on Jack Smith's name, we can see the pending donor information here below, and we can see the donor record that already exists that the system believes you should tie this donation record to. If this information wasn't correct, you could simply click on List and create a new donor record for this donor. However, in this case, Jack Smith, the pending donor, matches Jack Smith, who's already in our system, and so we can simply click to highlight Jack's name and mark this donation for processing. Now, if there is a red dot, that means the system did not have enough information to make a logical guess as to who this donor is. And so here we can see this test donor here, and that test donor is pending information. What we could do is we could start typing in that donor's last name here, and then click on Tab on our keyboard. And if we were to see any potential records, we would see a list of those records appear here that we could choose from. In this case, this donor does not exist, so yes, we would like to add a new giver. Whenever you create a new donor, you need to select what address you want to affiliate this new donor record to. So in this case, though, we know this is a brand new donor, so we need to create that address record. So we're going to click on Add. And we see our address window record here on the left-hand side. Now we can organize our window so that we can see our process pending donation queue with the pending donor's information and our address record window on the left-hand side, side by side. And then we're going to simply enter in this donor's information. Using your tab button on your keyboard, you can easily fill out the needed information. So here, I know this is a test. This will at least help you know how this process works. Now, another important thing when adding the address record is to list this donor underneath what we call the family status box. This will actually create the donor's individual record that's connected to both their address record and their donor record. And then simply click on Save on this left-hand side. And once you save this address record, you're going to see all these windows kind of slowly dissipate, and we're just left with this Add Donor box. Here we can see the address information that this donor is connected to. We can see the individual record that this donor is connected to, and then we can see the details about this specific donor. Here we can make some other decisions, such as if we know that they don't want to receive a statement for the year, if they're an inactive donor, or if you want to choose to email their tax statement as well, you can choose and select those options. Then simply click on OK. Once we've created that account, we're going to see that that donor's dot has changed from red to yellow, and we can simply click on Mark for Processing. And once we have green dots for all of our donor, we can simply click on Save. And now all of those donors and their their donations have been processed, and now they're going to show up on our reports when we go to process our reports. Now for donations, you can see and build and customize reports all underneath the donation reports on the right-hand side. So in Essentials, to pull reports, under Donation Reports, click on Donations. Now, the first time you create your report, you're going to kind of customize your preferences. So these are preferences that are specific to you and your login. But after you set up your preferences, the system will remember what those are, and you'll simply be able to enter in your date range and click on Refresh to see your new data. But the first time you create your reports, you'll set up your preferences. I always encourage people to search by deposit date. This is the date that the donation was deposited into your bank account. So you can simply enter in your dates that you want to see right here. We're going to search on all funds, but if we wanted to find out specific details about a specific fundraiser we may have had, then you can simply click on that specific fund and just see the information about that specific fundraiser. So kind of helpful there. We're going to also choose to search on all payment types. So this will pull in both online and check donations. But if you just want to see online donations, you could choose just to see credit card and ACH. If you just want to see check donations, you can choose to put check, cash, check, in kind, and so forth as options of payment types that you want to see. In this case, we're going to go ahead and click on all. So now that we've told the system what we want to search on, we're going to tell the system what we want to see. So we're going to click on columns on this left-hand side menu. Here, we have created several different reports that we feel might be helpful with some preset information. You can always create a custom report with just the fields and information that you need, but one of these reports might give you the information you need as well. A popular report is the Bank Account Reconciliation with Designation Detail report. If we click on this set, we can see all of the fields that's going to be listed in this set, such as donation date, deposit date, donor code, donor name, the amount of their donation, any fees applied, and then the net amount deposited. We can also see what their payment type was, what they gave to, and any notes they may have added to their donation. Now, once we say what we want to see in the columns, we can tell the system how we want to see this information by clicking on this Configure Source and Totals button. So if we click on this button here, a couple of helpful ways to see this information is one, to sort by deposit date. So if we click on this drop-down box here, we can click on deposit date. And you can also choose to subtotal it by deposit date as well. We want to make sure we see this in ascending order as well. And then I want to make sure I'm grouping all of my donors' donations together if they gave to more than one fund. So I'm going to then search by full donor name. So if I click on this drop-down box, find the red donor section, and then click on full donor name. I also want to be able to see a full total or a grand total for that month's donation. So I'm going to click on this Show Grand Total button and click on Save. Other helpful tips are to simply force the columns to fit on one page. This is especially helpful if you're planning to print this out to a printer. And if I click on Page Setup, if I have a report with lots of columns, I can choose to see this in landscape view. Then it's just a matter of clicking on this refresh button to see a preview of the data. And if I click on expand, then I can see it even larger. And from this point, I can choose if I want to print this report directly to a printer, export it as a PDF, export it as an Excel or a CSV, or really anywhere way that you'd like to see this information. And then the next time I come in, it's just a matter of simply entering in your new date range by either typing or using the calendar icons. And then just clicking on refresh. The system will automatically save those preferences and you can see your new data appear. And that's how you can pull a report in CDM+. Now, if you did want to create a brand new report, if you click on columns on the left-hand side, and we're going to click on this little plus symbol here, and it's going to tell us to add new set. And you can give this set a name, and then click on OK. And from here, it's going to give us a list of all the different fields that we want to see. So maybe we just want to see donation date. So we're going to click on donation date. We want to see a deposit date. So the date was deposited into our account. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to grab underneath the donor section full donor name. So who they gave to. And I want to see the details of that donation as far as their total donations. So this one's going to actually show you the amount specific to that fund. And then I want to use online net amount for that breakdown line, and then online transaction fees breakdown line. And if ever you want to see them in a different order, you can simply drag the different fields in the order that you want to see them. So I have donation date, deposit date, who the donor was, the details about their donation. If I go underneath fund and click on description, That is what they gave to. And now I'm interested to know if this was a recurring donation or not. So I can scroll up under the donation section and click on recurring donation frequency. So now I've chosen those fields to be in my set here, and I can click on close. And now I'm just going to click on refresh. So I already have my configure source and totals selected. And so I can see those are the fields that I have entered in here. So I can see that that's a monthly donor. So that could be a helpful report that you create. But again, you have that ability to create those custom reports in CDM Plus just for what you're looking for. And that is a little overview of the CDM Plus Essential platform.